You're listening to The Blunt Truth. Unscripted, uncensored, unwoke. Get ready to challenge everything.
Welcome to episode 21 of the Blunt Truth podcast, here with soon to become the number one guest of the show, Dougy.
I'm back.
All right, that was horrible. We're going to keep it and talking about death because what you just did made me want to die. And we're going to share our stories on death and what we think happens, what he thinks happens. I don't know what he thinks. I don't think he knows what I think fully, so you'll be here with us figuring it out. Do you want to just open the book? Open the tablet?
Well, what I'd like to share is just like, I was reading the Emerald Tablets from Thoth. If you haven't heard of it, go look it up. Emerald Tablets by Thoth, Thoth. And he's like an Atlantean God, like back in the day. And there's a whole history about him that you got to read about. He was one of the true like Anunnaki people who really wanted to help the human race, because we were genetically made to harvest the Earth's resources.
This is all true. I agree with all this so far.
And thought like this isn't good. Like we shouldn't be creating slaves. You know what I mean? So he fell in love with the human race and he wanted to help the human race. So what he did was he tinkered with our DNA and then he made it so that we are just as or even more powerful as the Anunnaki, because we're combined, where we are half here and half up there. You know what I mean? They had sex with us. So we are pretty much their creation. So anyway, long story short, like he started a huge war over it and something happened and now we are pretty much our own race. You know what I mean? But what he talks about is he is 3 times regenerated, which is 3 times. He came back 3 times. He came back. He was here as Thoth. He came back as Hermes, Trismegistus, and he came as another one. I forgot. I think I don't know. No, he's different. But he came back 3 times, right? And
Dude, you forgot 33% of his lifetimes. That seems disrespectful to a guy that...
And he came back 3 times, but also he has the ability. He reached total consciousness mastery. He can come in and out of, dimensions anytime he wants. He can reincarnate anytime he wants, because that's the level of enlightenment that he's got. You know what I mean? So what he wanted to do was coming back 3 times is to help the human race get to the enlightenment and to the level that we're at almost now. You know what I mean? I guess Thoth is the one who built the pyramids, and he wanted to, make a structure.
Which, by the way, they finally disclosed pyramids are just the tips of a very long obelisks. I've been saying this for fucking years. And so have others.
And Thoth describes it too. At the bottom, there's this place called the Halls of Amenti. And what it is, it's a place where all of the knowledge is. It's literally like the hub of all knowledge, like where when you die, you pass through the halls of Amenti,
Sounds like the Akashic Records, very similar to my conception.
It's very similar, right. But it's just that the halls of Amenti is a physical
It often manifests as a grand library in between the lives.
Right.
So Cliff Notes over, what does Claw say about death?
Okay, well, Jesus Christ. All right. What he says about death is you should not be afraid of it, number 1. He said you have 2 purposes in this life. One is to learn how to manipulate energy. And in order to manipulate energy, you have to, in order to get exactly what you want when you want it. Like it's literally the art of attraction and art of everything combined. And figuring out how to get what you want in this earth is to manipulate energy and to figure it out, staying positive, no fear, you know what I mean? And the second one is to enjoy life. That's it. You know what I mean? Learn how to manipulate energy and to enjoy life. That's it, because we're only here for a test. That's what he says. This is our classroom. We chose to be here before we got here. This is our next level to enlightenment. But in order to do that, we have to master emotions first. So in order to do that, you either have to stay here, and if you don't master emotions and don't have any attachment to this world, then you're off to the next. But it's hard to not get attachment to this world because there's so many cool things here. There's cars and Ferraris and cheap hookers and all that shit. You know what I mean?
None
But
of those
you gotta
things are
get rid of-
cool. It's not even top 100.
No.
Not even top 100.
No,
There's
saying.
cooler material
I'm-
shit.
Right, but what I'm just saying is you got to get rid of all the attachment that you have to this world because it's what's going to keep you here. And he pretty much says that if you can't get rid of all your attachment and you can't handle the emotions and you can't pass this test, then you are coming back. Plain and simple. You're coming back. I've probably been here 1,000 times. No, but he says that when we are born, our memories are because it's a clean slate because there's no point of taking a test when you've already lived that life before and you already know the answers. So what it is, you have to come back and relearn it and make sure you get it done.
Thank you for sharing that. There's divergence now with my beliefs, and I think it's somewhat of a psyop created by the same architects of this matrix because they also made the between lives area. And I'm going to break this down. The amnesia is created artificially by hospital birth rituals and circumcision that's taught in all the religions. It's not present even in villages in India where kids remember past lives constantly because they're not doing these rituals. So the other thing that makes me think it's architected by the same people is that any sovereign soul has really two options when you die, when you pass on to the other side. Number one is literally Dr. Newton, who did past life regression hypnosis on more than 300 people who all clinically died, flatline, no heartbeat for some period of time, were resuscitated and then hypnotized by Dr. Newton. So all of them experienced these things. Figures of loved ones or religious figures of white and golden light appearing, telling them to go into the light and follow them, going to a tunnel or a portal of light, going to review their lives, talking to a council of people to review their lives, essentially being told they have to reincarnate and probably being given options where it's going to be a hospital birth, so on. So they still get stuck here as part of the trap because here's the thing. Just like you can say, don't talk to the fucking police after you pass on, you can just not do that shit. And you could just move around freely and go to other planets, explore the cosmos, or just stay right there and watch it and not obey the lights, not obey the figures that appear. They're not necessarily evil and bad. There's no fear. It's okay. Here's the ultimate thing, and I'll bounce it back to you. Just like we have debt with money that is used to control people, where it's like you owe money to the bank, your mortgage, this and that. It's really an illusion. Money's not real. It's just made up. But you believe in this debt that you control as your whole life as a wage slave and a 9-to-5 worker. It's the same thing with karmic debt as a scam, controlling souls between lives. We can incarnate anywhere infinite times. You can incarnate here 1,000 times freely. But the trap is, they say you did a bad thing here, a bad thing there, a bad thing there. It's the shame control of the Catholic Church and the Babylonian death cult. It's why shame is their weapon. Because you internalize it, you die. You're like, oh, fuck. I gotta reincarnate and make it right. That's why it's a red flag when you hear school, when you hear Earth is a school. Yes, it is. And there's tests and lessons, and it's true. You could go to grander planets and higher plans and higher things and live eternally, and you could get squelched also and sell your soul, but what they really want is a nice, perfect soul that's not too powerful, cycling back, that's metaphysically useful, just like they keep us at the right sickness and so on. So I'll bounce back to you with all that.
Well, that whole, like, when you die and people see, they say they see loved ones and then they see a bright light. That's that trick. You're not supposed to go to the light. That's them trying to pull on your attachment. Because if they make you visualize your mom that's come to the light, or your dad, or anybody that you've loved, and you go, you ain't ready. You got to be like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm going to the next level.
You might see them and say no and ignore it.
Right. But what it tells you to do is when that happens is to say, no, I want to go back home. And you turn around. Because behind you it's the galaxies. It's the next level. But they're trying to keep you focused on that light, on your mom or on your sister or on anybody saying, come to the light.
Material attachment.
Come live with me again. No, I'm done. I want off this ride. You know what I mean? Because I'm ready to go now. You know what I mean? A lot of people are not ready to go because they have a lot of attachment. And I mean, I love my family. I love my parents. But if that happens to me, I'm not going.
If they are
You,
awakened souls, you can meet them on the other side.
but if they're not, they're keeping you here.
They're definitely
and
going
I'm
to come
gonna
right
leave
back. They're
them.
definitely going to come right back. If they're soul normies,
Right. But if they're in the position of saying, come to the light, they gone. You know what I mean? They ain't gone. They staying here. I'm going to be like, I'm not coming to the light. You know what I mean? My job here is done.
I
You
agree.
know what I mean? You came here alone and you're going to die alone. But at the same time, it's like, that's all you need. That's all these Buddhas have been telling you straight up. What you need is yourself. You need to go outside and just be with yourself. That's all you need in life. You know what I mean? All these people that are like, oh, I need best friends or I need my brother. It's great. That's cool. But all you need is yourself. You know what I mean?
Well, I wouldn't say that because we need a relationship with the creator of our soul.
Well, yeah. Well, because we are part of we are in his likeness. You know what I mean?
And yes, and just to zoom it out and make it a little bit less ideological and more metaphysical, what we're both agreeing on is there's essentially two sides. There's like creation being in a flesh suit on some planet, some body, some animal, some human, some being. And then there's like this other side where it's kind of similar to here. And what I was going to say is that the only way a group of sovereign souls could incarnate on Earth together, which is kind of a crazy thing for sovereign souls to do because it's just a big trap in a galactic sense, would be to not follow the light and to meet up, like you're saying, turn around, go that way, meet up and be like, all right, let's get our shit together, pick our lives in a sovereign manner, you know, like not in that route. But that's just a metaphysical curiosity. So you wanted to talk about death a little bit more personally with your...
Well, yeah. So what it is like when you start to understand death and like you understand kind of how it works and it's like it's not over for you, you know what I mean? You start to realize into other people when they start dying around you. As you get older, people start dying. You know what I mean? That's how it is. The older you get, the more people around you die. Like last year, two of my friends and my brother died last year. You know what I mean? That was a big hit. And it was rough because there was two of my really good friends and one was my best friend, my brother. So going through the process of processing death and when that close to me anyway was after he died, like it would just come in waves. You know what I mean? I'd be fine. Then all of a sudden I just start crying out of nowhere. And it would happen for 2 or 3 weeks straight, like maybe more. I wasn't counting after a while. But that is perfectly normal. Say you just recently, you know, had a death in the family or something. Like this is perfectly normal. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? And as time goes by, you start to realize how much you miss them and everything. But time heals all wounds. So as you start to process it, the crying waves that I was talking about starts to get longer apart. You know what I mean? Until after I stopped crying like that for 3 months after he died. It took 3 months, like where I wouldn't just have a random cry. But the thing is, I gotta keep in mind that like not about me. It's about his soul. You know what I mean? So whatever that happens, it's not up to me. It's all out of my control. So I can't worry about something out of my control. So whether he made it to the other side or whether he came back, it is what it is. Like I can't dwell on it. He wouldn't want me to dwell on it. He wouldn't want me to cry all the time. That's what kind of helped me because I was like, he would not want me crying like this, bro. He'd want me to mourn, but not, you know what I mean? So that's what I pretty much got out of like when my brother died. Like it's very healthy for your brain to process it by going through waves. Sometimes you'll be fine and out of nowhere you just start crying. But that's perfectly normal. You know what I mean? And if you're going through this, don't worry about it. Just time heals all wounds. And just think about all the things that you guys went through when they were alive. That's all you can take with you, you know?
Yeah, man. I love what you said about it's not about you, it's about him. Because the flip side of that is like all the grief from the negative emotions are for us and our loss, and really are ultimately selfish, because regardless of the outcome, the way the mechanics are set up, there's no suffering or pain or, there's peace of some form on the other side. And that also understand we are eternal souls. I believe Heavenly Father's plan, if someone is destined to be an eternal soul, and we have enough free will to squelch our souls, but I don't think your brother was there. I think he's going to continue living lifetimes. Going through the reincarnation trap is still really, it's their fair chance to get you trapped by the system. But you're not really
Right.
trapped by the system yet, so to speak. And so, you can still pray. You can still, there's so many ways souls can interact with other souls from the higher self perspective. Anytime either of you is on the other side, you can have resonance in different forms. And same for here, but it's less direct. And I'll talk about speaking out loud when I talk about my mom. I love that you said the lesson of your brother passing is to not dwell, because it's such a microcosm of alchemy, which is turning any emotion, not just negative, not just positive, but any emotion into wisdom. Because someone kissing our ass and tooting our horn and sucking up to us is positive emotion that needs to be felt with awareness for what it actually is, which is ego bullshit. And then, well, it's not ego bullshit any more than grief is per se. It's speaking to emotional needs of some sort. Grief's a little bit different, I'll say. Point is, you have to feel it. And like you said, time heals all wounds. And also feeling the wound works with the time. Because if you don't feel the wound at all, ever, if you don't let the waves come, you don't kind of, whether you want to dive into the wave, go under, body surf, deal with it somehow, cling on to something that floats rather than stuff it away, then you're going to be able to heal no matter what. And that's for any negative emotion.
What I've noticed about helping with negative emotions too is the all is always there for you. You know what I mean? So if you ask for, say, the all is there to help you with your attachment to this world. So you can just say, please God, just help me help me get the strength to get through this, because I don't want to dwell on this anymore. You know what I mean? And he's gonna do it, but you have to ask for it. You have to demand it. You gotta be like, I don't want to feel this way anymore.
With desire.
And I need to keep moving. Right. With anything you want to change, you have to ask for.
And be careful what you ask for, especially if you're praying to the creator of your soul to rid you of your material attachments. If you're sincerely
because it'll give it to you right away. You do that, and the next day your PlayStation will blow up, and all your shit will go away, and then you'll be like, "Hey, it's what you wanted." So you got to keep a level mind and a humble mind, while at the same time wanting to learn from it, But yeah, that you got to be very cautious to what you ask the universe for, or the God for, because it is always listening, even if you're kidding around. You know what I mean? They don't know. They only read frequencies. They don't read words,
I think there's two divine parents, a God and a goddess. Just there's two sides, the other side. And here, this side's the feminine side. Creation is goddess. Creation is magnetic. And the other side is Heavenly Father's domain versus Mother Nature's domain.
Well, there's magnetic and electric. That's what makes
Yes, exactly.
everything.
Masculine's electric.
The sun is electric, and the moon is magnetized.
Yes, it is.
That's feminine.
It's actually, if you search for magnetic holography, there's a whole genre of making holograms using magnets, and that's what the moon is. You can't even land on it. It's a fucking hologram. But moonlight is anti-parasitic, antifungal. It's different than sunlight. It's cold. Moonlight's cold. It measures colder than moon shade. You can go outside right now and measure it, the temperature. What I was going to say real quick, though, is, and you're praying to help deal with grief and loss and death. The universe of the all, in my mind, is like primal source. It's still a conscious energy. It's still like information and intelligence and awareness in a very raw form. That's what I feel when he says it. And there's also Heavenly Father and Mother Nature as almost like my divine parents, my channels to source. I don't pray to source as much directly these days.
Right. But also, a lot of people overlook the power of forgiveness. Like, a lot of people like to, they have a lot of attachment here because they can't forgive themselves for something, or they can't forgive somebody else for something. And what it is, it says it all in the Bible. Like, just say you want to repent and God will forgive you no matter what. Is you just have to mean it. You can't just kill someone and be like, I'm sorry. Like, you have to, your energy has to match your words. And you can't just be like, I'm sorry for killing that guy, and you're not. It's not going to fly.
And if you
Like,
don't have a
God,
soul, you can't say it and mean it.
whatever you think you can't get over, you can. And you just have to pray to the all, or pray to God, or whatever you call, whatever you believe in, to forgive yourself, to forget, to just let it go and keep it moving. Because it's all about what Thoth says. Stop dwelling in the past. You want to live in the present. In order to stop dwelling in the past, you have to forgive yourself now from what you did in the past in order to move forward.
I know what you're saying. Super important point. We live, the Matrix is a death cult. Fear of death is used quintessentially to control us. When you overcome fear of death, in fact, the reason that there's no outlets to feel your emotions, to process grief, and to journal your emotions. There's only bars and movies and restaurants and stuff. The reason we have funeral rituals where all the grief is compressed into a Babylonian Saturn worshipping ceremony. The reason that we're told, live in the present in an emphasized way is because, and you can get glimpses of this in the Day of the Dead, in other regular cultures before the Great Flood, is that death is an opportunity to continue the relationship, okay? When we're not bombarded as any off-grid indigenous tribe who has visions and shamans and dreams and prophecies and communes with ancestors. I mean, every fucking culture that's not in the Matrix continues their relationship with these beings. I lost my youngest dog, first dog I ever lost, the 17th, less than a month ago. Worst day of my fucking life so far. I'm almost 34. Her soul visited me unexpectedly the day she passed, and it was like nothing I ever experienced. And so, but years before that, I've been preaching to people. I spoke to my mom out loud. My mom was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer when I was 8. So I was a mama's boy. She's the first person I ever trusted. My best friend passed when I was 8. My emotions stopped developing, okay? I had the emotional awareness of an 8-year-old. I became a logical genius to compensate all the way till age 18, 19 when I started regular counseling, regular psychology, regular psychotherapy. And one part of that healing was, like I said, speaking to her out loud. This is when I lived in an RV in the middle of the Death Valley desert, because I had heard from someone before that speaking out loud makes vibrations, right? Like when you, not only are you channeling any stuck energy, any stuck grief, any stuck resentment, forgiveness, like anything that needs to come out related to it by speaking to them, but those vibrations actually make the dimensions merge and they can hear you. Like speech is one thing that they can hear from the other side. And so I spoke to my mom out loud for the first time in 2019. And that was, even though I was still so skeptical, I could feel powerful shifts in my body from it. And the point is, look into an influencer named Brittany Taylor, because she talks a lot about, she lost her fiance and the father of her child. And she still has a relationship with his soul. And so, point is, yes, let it go. Yes, grieve. Do not wish they were here. Do not pine and long for them and cry every day. And you can have synchronicities. You can have life-altering guidance. You and I just talked about how you can gain spiritual guardians. If they're really close to you, they could become one of your spiritual angels, one of your spiritual guardians. And so, it's like a duality. It's like in 3D, you have to, yes, totally let go. But then on the spiritual side, like Thoth would say, we're walking in two worlds. On that side, it's actually lightness comparable to the darkness, to where you can actually continue the relationship higher self to higher self.
And what I want to go over too is, like, when my brother died, I was crushed because it was taken, really early. He was younger than me, you know what I mean? But my mom right now, she's struggling with stage 4 breast cancer. And I was thinking that I might take it a little harder than I am now, but I'm not, because when my mom also has dementia really bad. And right now her brain is pretty much gone. Like, she doesn't recognize nobody anymore. But before she lost her brain, she would always tell me that she was ready to go. She don't want to be here no more. She's done her life. She's 84 now, right? She's lived a great life. She adopted fucking 7 kids, had countless foster people, helped people all along her life. Her soul's ready to go. So when my mom dies, I've already lost my mom 5 years ago because her brain's gone. Right now, I mean, that's my mom, but it's not my mom. So like when she dies, I know I'm not gonna take it that hard as it was with my brother, because I know my mom's at peace. I know my mom lived a great life. I know that she's in a place where she's done her job and she doesn't want to be here anymore. And I respect that because who has 6 kids and adopts 7 more? You know what I mean? She did her job here. She helped countless people. So when she goes, I'm gonna miss her 100%. But I mean, I already miss her because she's not here because her brain's gone. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna cherish everything that she's taught me, and at the same time, I'm gonna treat it kind of different than it was my brother because she lived a full life. My brother was snuffed out way too early, so that's why it hurt me. Like he should still be here right now. Like he still had a long life to go. But yeah, I mean, I feel like when I process my mom's death, it's gonna be a lot smoother than my brother. You know what I mean? Because I know that my mom lived a great life before then, and so I shouldn't be sad about it. I should just be thankful that it happened, that I got adopted, and thankful that she taught me everything that got me to living on my own, bro. Living on my own with no arms or legs, bro. That was because of my mom.
And beyond you, I mean, I'm just one example of one of your friends who you've been an inspiration for years, bro. I mean, if just keeping me motivated and inspired. And I know there's so many other people who, have leaned on you in different times that I mean, it's really your parents' legacy, right? And then 6 others, and then 6 others, that's, dude, your mom's an angel, dude.
That's why I feel like when she does, it's coming soon. She was just in the hospital yesterday. So it's coming soon, and it's going to suck when it happens. But like I said, she's lived a great life. She told me when she had her brain, she's ready to go. So I can't be sad about that. I can't. The only thing I could do is just, like I said, I just learn everything go over all the things she taught me, and just to make her proud. And I know I do that now.
I love that,
because
bro.
I quit drinking.
Yeah, man, that's been one of my anchors too, like when I'm at rock bottom places, I'm like, it's just grounding. It's ironic how thinking about what your loved ones on the other side would want for you, because it's so grounding.
I feel like when they're gone and they're on the other side, it's all love and joy, and whatever was going on in their life makes no difference.
More ego.
It doesn't matter because they're not alive, right? Because they're not alive anymore.
And if you think about it, no more ego is because on the other side, there's no more time. You can interact with all timelines simultaneous. There's no more space. You can see anywhere at once. What is ego? A tool to help you navigate time, calendars, scheduling appointments, and space, not bump into shit,
right.
Maps. So you transcend the whole ego on the other side. So however, you are not your flesh suit. You are not your ego. That's just like a fucking function of the fucking meat suit. You're really the soul and the aura.
Yeah, it's just the meat suit thing, right? It's a meat suit thing.
And you mentioned the age, which is interesting because, when I was 4, she was diagnosed, and when I was 8.5, she passed. And it was so much exposure to how humiliating and painful and embarrassing death can be. And my mom was my first best friend, and to this day, the only person I've ever trusted fully. And amazing person, total saint. Reason I'm intelligent too, not only because she passed, which I mentioned made me hyper logical, but her obsession was baby geniuses. Her obsession was, so I would listen to classical music in the womb. She would read to me books in the womb. She would get me reading at age 1. I was walking before a year old. So she was obsessed with this. So it's ironic. And my friends taught me that I needed her more from the other side as well. So it's everyone has a life path. If you're a soul who has challenges that are big, you might actually need extra support from the other side. So that's a whole beautiful side of it as well. Not to invalidate anyone's grief here. So point is, for me, the other side of that purpose is the emotional side, which is grief resonates with me strongly. Not only you and me, you can probably tell, like, we emotionally connect aside from the way that men typically connect. On the emotional side, it's usually grief and sadness and loss that connects us. That's how I am for a lot of my friends, because I spent 4.5 years with mommy dying and her teaching me what she could teach me and showing me all the stuff she liked and trying to foster that connection. I remember playing board games with her the last time she went to the hospital. So it's like there's a maturity that comes with loss. If you want to keep going,
You grow up fast when you get your first loss. You really do.
yeah.
My first loss was my best friend when I was 16. Actually, yeah, 17. He was like I had my music friends and then I had my best friend, because you got to keep them separate when you're doing music with your group, and then because you're going to drive yourself crazy. So I had my best friend outside of music, and he bought a brand new, at the time, 350Z Nissan, and he was drag racing someone on the highway. He didn't even know how to drive fucking manual shift, and he's fucking doing 160 down the freaking highway. But anyway, that was my first loss, and it hit hard, but it made me grow up real fast. Like, 1 minute you're chilling with him, and the next minute you're at, his funeral, talking about how good of a person he is, and it happens so fast. So it forces you to grow up a little faster when it happens at a young age. You know what I mean? These are adult emotions, like for kids, that when it happens, and it's when that occurs, having a kid going through adult emotions is pretty. But that's why I'm really kind of like iffy about these libraries having porno in it. It's, dude, you're giving kids adult information. It's
I was
gonna
about
fuck
to
them
say
up.
that's why they do these rituals before kids are 8 or 9. They traumatize them a bunch of ways because it forces the nervous system to rewire in unusual ways. Like I was
Survival.
on the edge of becoming a sociopath. In fact, because I'm almost blind and deaf, I feel, and my dad was absent from my life after she passed, I was rejected out of gifted and talented program. I was kind of just left to become a nerd or whatever. You're vulnerable when you lose a loved one, is what I would say to take away from that is, if you, not to be paranoid or negative, and sometimes when you lose a loved one, the predators can come out of the closet. So just, keep to yourself and heal too.
Right. One of the best things is to be by yourself and heal. Go to the fucking park. Go in the woods for fucking 2 hours and literally, the trees can feel it. Trees could feel your depression. The trees could feel your sorrow. So when you inhale, it's gonna release more oxygen to your brain. Like it sounds pretty hippie-ish, but it's true.
No, bro, I
Like,
think that every time I walk, because I walk the same path on purpose because all the trees talk. So when I start my path,
but they all know you. They know you
yes.
because you've been going there mad times.
Yes, and look, I'll hum to give off the vibration signature. I'll breathe to give my breath signature. And once one tree gets the update of today, it spreads through all the trees that know me and know my walk. And they give out phytonutrients. That's what they're called, in their exhales of oxygen that fuel us. And so I'm so with you on it. It's not hippie-ish. It's natural
Dude,
law.
I have my own favorite tree in the back, like in on the trail that I live near. I named him Woodrow.
That's
He's
awesome. Is it a
awesome. And
willow?
it's just this little birch tree, and I named him
Birch.
Woodrow because when I first moved here 3 years ago, it was kind of small, but now it's like as tall as me. So now I'm like seeing it grow. So I started naming it. I'm like, hey, what's up, little Woodrow? And every time my dog likes it, and fucking I talk to the trees, whatever. I mean, it makes me feel better. I'm by myself. Ain't no one gonna call me a dummy. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Speaking of negative emotions to alchemize, when I was born, my mom and dad planted a tree the same birthday as me. When my sister was born, they planted a tree the same birthday as her. Now, my dad would just put any old drug addict, crackhead in the rental properties, was renting out that house. The people in it cut those trees down a couple years back, and I was just like, dude, bro, that was like the only like living thing I have of my mom. But back here on this side in the wall there's a little picture you see hanging. That's a poem that she had in her bathroom. It's the tide recedes but leaves behind bright seashells in the sand. The sun goes down, but gentle warmth still lingers. The music stops, and yet it echoes on in sweet refrain. For every joy that passes, something beautiful remains. And this creation of this side of reality is nothing more than an echo, the reverberations of all the people that have passed away.
Yeah. I have a painting that my mom did before she lost her brain, and I had her sign it. And now that it's on my wall,
Just
and now
similar,
my mom
bro.
can't even, and my mom can't even write her name now because her brain's gone.
Bless that,
So
man.
it's like I got that painting, and she said, "To the most wonderful son, love always, Mom."
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, and that's so touching, dude. My mom typed me a letter on her deathbed. It's 3-4 pages long, and I got it when I was 18 and couldn't even read it for a year, more than a year. It was so emotional, but it's crazy, bro. She was so much self-awareness. She had so much love for me and awareness of my life. And I was just showing that this is the dog, my youngest greyhound mix Rain. This is her paw print. Right as we put her down, we got her paw print. So, I live a very Day of the Dead vibe life. I pray to God. I pray to Mother Nature. Sometimes Source Creator. If I'm really high vibe. If I feel like I've merited that connection. For me, it's not that frequent, but very frequently especially when I'm down and sad on my mother, my cat Bobby, 16-year soul cat, passed away April 23rd, 2023, and then Rain, the dog that just passed. Those three are my three spirit guardians. So, look, just when, and imagine how much grief and sorrow it is when you're on the other side, seeing a soul that you love, that you know is an eternal soul, taking a risk going into the trap and going back to Earth. That's painful and that's grief. Just like here when someone dies and goes back to the other side, it's painful and it's grief. And when you make it to the other side and you don't get trapped, it's celebration and joy. Like, hey, you're back on this side. So the mechanics are so balanced out that you can just trust Creator that there's light beyond the darkness.
Right. And the one thing is don't have any fear. Don't have fear and no attachment, and you'll be fine. You want to be attached to the Lord. You want to be attached to God. You want to be attached to love.
Be healthily
But other
attached,
than
which means you can healthily detach.
Right. But that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to say today.
I agree, because I was just saying fear of death is so central to the whole control system. I believe Yeshua, the biblical figure, any such Messiah around that time, would have taught you are an eternal soul, and that must be stripped from his teachings, because it takes away the fear. There's no hell, there's no punishment.
They needed that kind of fear, though, because they don't want people just offing themselves. They don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to heaven anyway. Boom, dead.
Offing yourself won't help either.
That's not how it works. If you off yourself, you're coming right back, dog. That's how it works.
Pretty much, or you're going to have some serious reparations to do on your soul regardless. If you have the awareness and sovereignty to not come right back, you're still going to be in real karmic debt, like universal karmic debt.
Right, which means if you have karmic debt, you're coming right back. You got to pay that debt.
That's the scam, but it's just like there's still currency and a real current of chi. Even though monetary debt is a control system, there's still real karma, even though the guilt and shame karma is part of the control system. So, look, I fucking know, bro. You could be right, I could be right. This is like a really deep debate. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know, right? But my feelings are that, look, most souls would pretty much trap themselves into coming back. Yes, a super high vibe, super aware, sovereign soul. I think you could be like, and not come back. Be like, fuck you, but still, you still have some work to do, some form, shape. You couldn't just start incarnating or something. You'd be very low powered. You have to repent. You have to do some timeline work. You have to go do some angelic healing work to get your soul fragments back. Something. I don't know. That's what I feel.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Dude, if you said it makes sense,
what we're talking about now isn't 100% fact. It's just what we theorize and what's going to happen through their people's, stories and what their account is, and my account is when I read Thoth, it made perfect sense.
Facts.
That makes sense. It makes sense to me. You know what I mean? And I don't know why he would want to lie about that anyway. I don't know. He wanted to help humans get to the next enlightenment. He wouldn't want us trapped here.
I get good vibes from
they
the
know
soul
stuff
of Thoth.
Right. Plus, he preaches, well, not preach, but he talks of love That's it. That's all. When you hear someone of unconditional love and just and happiness and love and no attachment to it and just no what can I think of? Not just love it, period.
No fear,
Like
no
that that's all
attachment.
he was right. And I'm all for it.
I agree.
Like,
I think you
for
can't really go wrong. Look, it's okay to feel fear. It's a normal emotion. No fear does not mean
Right.
you never feel afraid, you never feel anxiety. No fear means,
Right.
in my opinion, you never let fear affect your decision making
Or control
or
you.
control you.
Right.
Right? It's there, you have it. Pretend you didn't have it if you're gonna make a decision, at least, you know?
Like, I mean, I'm not scared of much, but I mean, I'll get startled. Like, if somebody comes up to me, it's like, "Look," there's a difference between fear and startle. You know what I mean? But I'm not afraid to die. That's the thing. I know death is coming, so there's no point in being afraid of it because it's going to happen to me. It's going to happen to you. It's going to happen to everybody. So all you have to do is get rid of attachment, learn how to manipulate energy, and just enjoy life. And then death will seem like a breeze because your attachment to these worldly
Sure.
possessions away.
All these mechanics are built into where you get euphoria, you start getting visions, just like when you take LSD, it's built in to kind of give you a good trip in certain ways, or mushrooms. I am not afraid of death at all. I am a little bit afraid of dying because it's like a huge change. If I was going to move to Africa tomorrow, I'd be like, let's figure out some shit. I don't know, you know?
I don't think you're afraid. I think you're more nervous. It's like,
Sure.
say you're about to go on like a ride at Six Flags or something. You know what I mean? First time you've ever been on it. You don't know what's coming up. That's probably what you're feeling. You're feeling nervous. You're like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to happen because I'm going on this ride. I'm already buckled in, so I better buckle up. You know what I mean? But it's up until you actually go through what needs to be going through.
Most of my fear these days is around like my loved ones and my family and stuff, because it's like, it's a high level of faith to trust Creator and trust the plan with the well-being of your loved ones. Like, for me, it's whatever, fuck it. Like, I'll jump out with a parachute, have full faith. I don't care. It's hard to have that level of faith for the well-being of others because it's, you know, my dogs and stuff.
Well, no shit, because it's out of your control.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's out of your control. So again, you can care about it, but the thing is, you don't want to fear it. You don't want to go to that level of grief and fear because you know.
Yeah. Nanny, bro, we're over 50 minutes. You said you only had 45. I knew this would run long. No fear, no attachment, stay loving.
Yep. And death is nothing to be feared. Just let it go and just go on to the next thing.
Because you're an eternal soul. You're inherently valuable and you are purely good.
Right. You're inherently good.
So just do it, dude. Go for it.
You got it.
Thanks for tuning in to The Blunt Truth with Stephen and Dougy. Enjoy the conversation. Join us every Wednesday for more unfiltered discussions. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your support keeps the truth coming. Elevate your journey. Connect with us on social media at blunttruthpodcast.com. Until next time, be kind, keep growing, and remember, knowledge is infinite.